A lot of people hate that modern games are so hard to run, and for what? So they can look a little bit nicer? But on the other hand, when you come across those photorealistic mods of games like GTA 5 and Cyberpunk, aren't you at least a little tempted to try them out? I know I am, especially when ASUS sponsors a video featuring their new PG34W CDN, a 5th generation QD-OLED beast of a monitor that is gonna make these games look their absolute stunningest. But question, how do we do this? I couldn't help noticing that the original game looks really not like that.
It wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong, I love games and I respect the hell out of community modders who give fresh life to older titles, but...
Oh my god, what is that?
It's a map showing conflicts in the mod load order. Yeah, to achieve anything close to photorealism, you'll need ray tracing, high-resolution texture packs, lighting mods, asset packs, custom LUTs, or usually some combination of all of them, which raises the question,
is it really worth the effort? Will it actually look this good when I do it myself at home? What kind of hardware do I freaking need to run my games like that? And is it potentially worth it to buy a paid mod pack so that I don't have to deal with the hassle, or are they mostly just a scam? To find out, I voluntold Mr. David Pankratz to install as many mods as he could on some of the most popular photorealistic titles to try to kind of replicate, you know, that gaming experience that tends to go viral every couple of months or so.
You want to take a look?
No. See, here's the thing. My vacation starts now, so good luck.
This can't be that hard, can it?
all right, Pankratz, Cyberpunk 2077 looks great out of the box, but that hasn't stopped modders from pushing the envelope. What are we looking at?
We've got about 72 different mods running here that bring Cyberpunk from what you know to what you see here.
Holy crap.
I found a pretty good list on Nexus mods that had a whole bunch of things and focused mostly on the environmental mods so that you got the most effect with as few as possible.
It looks like you've got a bunch of texture packs. Like, this road looks incredible. The reflections too, and the water is like perfect. Is there a bunch? Is there any ray tracing mods or anything?
A lot of that is just the path tracing turned on.
Okay, yeah.
So we turned on path tracing, and to get a decent frame rate in all of the different scenes, you have to turn DLSS on. But in this scene here where you don't have tons going on, I mean, we're running at 111 frames per second with path tracing on it, 3440 by 1440.
And unfortunately, that's not quite enough frames because our ASUS monitor here can do 360 hertz. But 1440p ultra-wide is a little over 5 million pixels, so it's kind of hard to push those frames. What's DLSS set to right now?
It's set to quality, so
What?
you're getting a decent image still.
With path tracing, and you're
Yeah.
still getting like 110 frames a second?
Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, we're getting like, what, 70s, high 60s for a 1% lows too? This is a still image though right now.
Yeah.
We are not moving.
You want me to get on the bike and move
Yeah,
around a
please
little bit?
get on the bike and move around, because that's when these things kind of tend to break down a little bit. We grabbed a controller just so it's a little smoother to look around. This looks amazing. And even the headlights going around.
Yeah, there was a mod that changed the way that the headlights worked with the rest of the environment around.
That's
I'm just
okay.
gonna
Yeah,
go
it's okay.
ride the bike.
Getting so close to the ground, like that ground texture is probably one of the most impressive things I've looked at so far.
Yeah.
Even just the rippling with the path tracing on the light, on the water, on the stream.
Another big thing was a immersive first-person camera mod,
Yeah.
which goes and adds a little bit more shake, and it changes the way that the camera looks around at things.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing Body Cam does. That's a super photorealistic game. It's taken forever to actually properly come out. I think it's still in early access. It's supposed to look like a body cam, and so they've got a lot of motion and whatnot when you're moving around. That was so cool though, even watching the bike like as it landed, and then watching the lights turn off slowly. It was nice. Oh my God. Like, look at the shadows there. That looks so good. This is why in our 4 Tech Experts React video, I said sometimes I do think it's worth turning ray tracing on. Mod settings isn't always there, hey?
No, mod settings isn't always there, neither is mods.
Yeah.
Depending on the mod packages that you get, they'll have different supporting menu features. It was hard to find stuff that all kind of went into one menu, so you end up with a bunch of extras like this.
Perfect.
But yeah, if we go into mods and then move over to Weathermancer here, we can change it.
God, the rain looks so good. Is there a mod for the raindrops on the water, or is that?
Yes.
There is, really?
So there's a mod for the raindrops on the water, and there's a mod for the texture of the rain coming down as well.
Oh my God, that's so good. Even with like the weather changing and whatnot, this still looks kind of different. What else are you doing?
One of the heavy lifters in the mod packages is a LUT, which stands for lookup table. What it does is pulls different values from the lighting and the tone mapping and pushes, you're able to change the entire scene with very, very little performance hit actually. If I pull open Cyber Engine tweaks here, we have what's called a LUT switcher where I can change the color grading on the fly.
Yeah, what's vanilla look? Let's look at vanilla first.
Yeah, vanilla looks like this here, so everything is a bit oversaturated is kind of the biggest difference.
Yeah.
When you're in different weather, you get a lot of a yellow tone to everything as well. We've got a whole bunch of different ones that we can choose from here though. Like Supernova is another more stylized.
That's really cool.
And then they've got Hypernova, which is just a little bit of a tweak on the same sort of thing.
Yeah. A lot of optimization too is done by just like using smaller, lower res textures on stuff that you don't think people are going to care about as much. Like obviously your main character has super high poly, super high res, but then NPCs or a random side character you'll meet once or twice. Like it's funny how you look at old PS2 games and like you can tell who the main characters are almost right away.
I'm also using a plugin called Reshade, which is what a lot of modders will use for post-processing as well. What I'm mainly using it for though is that depth of field you were seeing before.
Oh yeah, well it makes a huge difference. Thank you, NVIDIA. God, that looks so good when you do that.
But you can see that it even like blurs
the
a
UI?
bunch of the UI elements.
I will say now that you're just walking around Night City, it doesn't look as good. Like a lot of the time when you see those videos with like millions of views of GTA or Cyberpunk looking photorealistic, they're cherry picking certain spots and weather patterns and like models that they know that I've got this car that's got the high res texture pack, so that's what I'm gonna drive for the video. But then you go into an area that's like not necessarily set up, like this still looks really good. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look quite as good as the canal that we were driving in earlier. But man, yeah, some of it still looks amazing though. Again, it's funny how much the ground textures are kind of what impressed me the most.
The ground, the puddles, and
yeah,
the
puddles, because the puddle formations look a lot more real. They don't just look like, in a lot of games, they just look like circles, basically, or like ovals and oblong shapes. These look a lot more natural.
One of the reasons I loaded up this scene was to show you what happens to your VRAM though when you start.
What do we add?
In the previous scene, for reference, we had about 12 gigs of VRAM used.
Yeah.
Now that we're in the middle of the city, we're over 16.
And this isn't even 4K. That's wild. If we're at 4K, this would probably be almost capping out like 20 gigs or something probably. Maybe 18.
Yeah, I think it came out to about the 18 mark.
Yeah, well, there you go. Another reason to cry when VRAM prices go up in the new year. And I've got to say, the text in CapFrame X actually looks really impressive thanks to this 5th Gen QD-OLED panel, because now they're doing what just about everyone wanted them to. They've gone to an RGB stripe subpixel layout, so that should mean a lot less text fringing for those of you who are sensitive to it. I don't see like any on this like sharp black, white on black text here in CapFrame X, like at all.
One of the highlights that a lot of modders put into their games are these custom cars that they do a lot of work on to make them look really good. So I found a Taycan.
It's not wrapped though.
It's not wrapped.
Where's the D-brand wrap? It looks really good.
It does look really good. And then we got a Ford GT.
Yo.
And then a 240 SX.
Yo. Like, okay, so modding games sometimes is really easy. Sometimes it's very hard. What kind of hurdles, like were there any issues when trying to get all this loaded up into Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk was pretty clean. If you go and take your time, watch the requirements. You have to put the requirements in there if it calls for it. And some of the mods have installation instructions, and again, you have to follow those installation instructions. You cannot skip steps. But if you take your time, pay attention to the details, Cyberpunk was pretty seamless. I stuck to the method of install 2 or 3 mods at a time, boot the game up, and make sure that things work, because there are times where you go and load 15 or 20 mods at once, and you come back, you load up the game, everything's broken, and you gotta pick and choose what did I put in there, and figure out what to disable to get back to a working state again.
I've been waiting for this for like months. I've been so excited to see this with my own eyeballs.
I think you're gonna be impressed.
Oh, that looks good.
It looks so good, eh?
It looks, here's the problem with realistic things.
Uh-huh.
It looks more real, but it doesn't look better. To me, the most impressive things is just the shadows on the boxes. Like, they look like there's real boxes. Oh, the depth of field is so great.
It's so good though.
Yeah, it's tough. I had a big period where I would take old games and put them into reshape and add ray tracing and do depth of field stuff.
Yeah.
And you can get these incredible shots, but to make a game playable is hard because you don't really want that much depth of field when you're really playing a game.
Yeah.
Ray trace reflections are awesome.
I know! This is why I'm Team Pro Ray Tracing.
But like, why aren't you just playing the game? Why would you like, oh, look at this car, when you could just get in the car and go?
Our next game is GTA 5. This, it looks pretty good, but it just looks like GTA 5.
Yeah, so what happened with GTA 5 was it didn't update. And when it updated, it broke a bunch of the mods.
That happens all the time. And the worst part is, unlike an older game, or even one that's just not got any kind of live service aspect to it, this one's getting updated all the time. You're gonna run into that. You're gonna install mods, the game is gonna break when they update it, and then you gotta wait. Is there like one specific pack that's broken, or what are we waiting for? What hasn't been updated yet?
The main piece that's broken is a injector called Script Hook V. That piece needs to be running with the game version that it's matched to. Otherwise, it just doesn't work at all.
You know, you don't need Script V Hook to look great in. The RGB sweater from LTTstore.com. I love this thing. I bought like 8 of these. All my Christmas shopping is done. Well, the timing sucks, but you know what's old and doesn't get updated all that frequently? The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, one of the most moddedest games of all time. Maybe a little too modded, but we'll let you be the judge of that at the link below. Not safe for work. Don't click this if you're at work. Pancrats, I see that we're using Vortex from Nexus Mods.
This game gets involved enough that you actually need to launch Skyrim through a completely different launcher. Otherwise, you don't have the tools to make a bunch of the mods work.
So I know that Skyrim does have a mod manager typically. Is that just not good enough for this and we have to use Vortex?
The experience that I had, yes.
Okay. Okay. If you guys have ever modded an Elder Scrolls game before, there's a lot of options and a lot of them conflict. I see that we've got a pretty extensive list.
The list we have here is actually shorter than what we had for Cyberpunk. We didn't want to spend days and days modding this because you can just go off the deep end on this. The list I found was called Ultimate Immersion, and they have, again, hundreds of mods in a page that you can go and load, and it will give you a great effect on there. We picked and chose the ones that we felt would be the most impactful.
Let's take a look. Whoa, okay. I'm guessing you've mostly gotten environmental assets because like the foliage never looks this good. And the water is surprisingly very pretty as well.
Yeah, the assets that were completely replaced are a lot of the foliage, a bunch of the trees, some of the pathways, and the water got a complete overhaul. The lighting got a complete overhaul. The things like these posts here with the lamp on it, that's completely modded as well.
Yeah, those look really high res.
Why I chose the scene here is it does showcase a bunch of those environmental effects that we just talked about. We've got the water, we've got the trees, we've got the flora, and if we look over this way, we've got a bunch of the mountain here where we used a mod called Dindulod that goes and recompiles all of your LOD textures and makes it so you see better versions of those models further away.
LOD stands for level of detail, so if something's high LOD, it's a high level of detail. That's also why you get like LOD pops, where something looks low res as it's in the background, and then as you get closer and closer, you'll see it like pop and morph into the higher res version or the higher level of detail version of itself. So that's actually really cool because yeah, the mountains look great here. But
and the detail around the tower here, where you can see the steps
bricks
going
and
up
stuff
and the
too.
bricks.
Yeah, a lot of the times that basically gets turned into like a really simple flat texture. This all looks really good. Those mountains look super high detailed. Are we doing anything again with reshade or with LUTs?
We're using a program called ENB. It does a lot of the same sort of thing that you would be able to do with a reshade, but it's more configurable and it can do more things.
What was the hardest part of this? Was it really just the load order, or were there a bunch of different conflicts, or what?
Load order conflicts were definitely a problem. One of the things that still exists now, though, even though this is running properly, is if we go and we take some time to warp into the future and make it night, the lighting gets to be incredibly dark.
Oh, in a way, it's a little more realistic in that the sense that, night is actually really dark if there's no stars or moonlight out. But this is pretty black, and it looks so black thanks to ASUS's Black Shield film that gives you not only a lot less of that magenta look when bright studio lights or overhead lights are shining on your monitor, but they've also increased the surface hardness by 2.5 times, which these things are very, very delicate. My own cat has scratched them actually multiple times, and it's a bit of a problem, but no longer.
Here's another nice scene where you can really see the lighting pop off.
Yeah, and with the high LOD on the mountains, it's such a minor thing. And don't get me wrong, normally it's totally worth getting the higher performance by lowering the detail, but it's Skyrim, it's old, we're still getting what? 60 FPS? It's locked.
It's locked to 60 FPS.
Yeah, it's locked to 60.
There are mods that you can unlock it, but you start running into physics problems.
Yeah, you do.
Unless you put more mods in.
I love the creation engine. It's a great engine that should never get updated or fixed ever.
Because it is an older game, those texture packs that bring textures up to 4K and 8K go a much longer ways. So that's why you can see things like down in the grass. There's a lot more detail.
Yeah, this is incredible. Oh man. The detail on all of those little branches and leaves and twigs and stuff. And it still looks stylized. Okay, what does vanilla look like though? Because I'm probably thinking of Skyrim through rose-tinted glasses. It's been a pretty long time. I think my last playthrough was at least 5 years ago. So let's take a look at vanilla and just see how much we've improved things.
Here we are at the same river scene that we had before. And you can see immediately the water.
Yeah.
Water looks very different.
This looks awful.
One of the things that I'm getting reminded about just now is one of the mods installed in the other one has the flora and whatnot reacting to the wind a lot more.
Oh,
everything is super static here. It's moving a little bit,
but not a whole lot.
Not a ton.
Is there denser foliage as well, or no?
Yes.
Yeah,
on the
right.
other one.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, because this really is kind of sparse looking, especially in the hills up there, and even just these ferns or whatever over here.
Yeah, the ground textures are okay, but you can tell that they're much less detailed.
Especially the rocky parts of it. These just look like, I don't know, garbage rocks. I want the good rocks. This doesn't look bad, as much as I'm poo-pooing it a little bit because I've seen the new hotness. There was something absolutely amazing and groundbreaking about walking into Skyrim and actually getting out into High Hrothgar and taking a look at everything. And it looked amazing for the time, but the water especially, it's another one of those things where I kind of want the style of the classic look, but I want everything in higher resolution. And I want better water effects. I want I want ray tracing.
Technically, this is the higher resolution because this is the Anniversary Edition.
Oh, this is Anniversary Edition?
Yeah.
And another thing to mention is we're running all of these games maxed out just in the normal settings. So this is, if you're not modding, literally as good as it's gonna get. How much time have we spent? Realistically, with all the research and then trying to load mods and then failing to load mods and then going back to the start and just, because I know that sometimes you have to just fully nuke the whole directory and start from scratch.
Yep.
How much time do you think it took to get just Skyrim to this level? Well, not this level, but the other one we were looking at.
Just Skyrim was probably about a day and a half. That included probably 4 game wipes.
It takes time. Is it worth it? Maybe. All right, I think we've got one more game. This was a Linus request. Can the audience guess what it is? 5 seconds, and then I'm going to tell you.
Will it run?
If you guessed Crysis Original, you're correct. I can tell that we're running the modded version before we even get out of the menu because we're eating up almost 11.5 gigs of VRAM. I mean, this came out in what, late 2007?
Yeah.
How much did cards even have? All right, well, show me. I gotta see if this lives up to the hype. And remember, this is original. This is not remastered,
This
right?
is original.
Wow. I can already tell you the foliage is super dense.
Yeah.
Oh, and all these textures actually look like pretty good. And the models like on that fern. Oh, I love this. Yeah, ultra wide Crysis. This is a problem. Crysis doesn't like ultra wide. It wasn't made for it. All right, what have we installed this time?
This one's actually a full replacement pack called Crysis Enhanced. It was super easy to deploy. It had really straightforward instructions, didn't have any issues at all. I thought I was going to be getting into a lot more because it's an old game.
Yeah.
Crysis was made with modding in mind, though. You do have a native mods menu inside the game itself.
The ground and the rocks look pretty solid. And even the trees and foliage. Like, I know that this probably doesn't look nearly as good as the Skyrim stuff even that we were just looking at, but it's like kind of close. It's pretty good.
The water looks a lot better.
It really does. I love how you can see the rippling of the waves and whatnot, and the sea foam. We're also getting like pretty good performance, like 137, 140 FPS. 1% lows aren't bad either. We did have some hitching earlier as I guess some textures or assets were loading in, but it's actually pretty solid at like 100 now. To be fair, this is a 5090 at like 1440p ultra wide. You'd hope that it would do a little more than 61% lows, but Crysis, that's all I gotta say is Crysis. Well, you know what else I have to say, actually? That sun looks incredible. And that's partly thanks to HDR, because this is obviously just Windows auto-applying HDR, which, hey, you can do that to most games. And if it's got native support with our PG34WCDN here, it's got a true black 500 VESA rating, and it's also gonna get bright as heck. So any HDR content you're gonna watch is gonna absolutely pop on this thing. Let's take a look at vanilla and just see where we're starting from. We're using 2 gigs of VRAM, baby. The foliage density, I'm surprised by how much is still here, actually. Like, the details are definitely way worse, but there's just as many plants as there were before. I wasn't expecting that. They really crushed it with the lush jungle scene. Oh, but yeah, like the water doesn't look as good. The ripples don't look as good. Even the ferns, they don't look nearly as detailed. This still looks great just because Crytek did such an incredible job on building this game. Well, I've got my own mod right here. A little bit of height adjustment. Pankrats, you know, you've really kind of struggled through this for the last at least couple of weeks, but even earlier in the year. Now that you've done all of this, would you go home and mod your own games to this level of like photorealism or even just beautification?
For a first playthrough, I don't think I'd actually touch mods. Just to get the experience. There is a lot of artistic direction that was put into these games, and like David was saying earlier, you miss out on a lot if you go and just start jumping into the modding right away. If you're coming back for a second playthrough or a third playthrough or a playthrough a decade later for some of these games, 100%, go ahead and give these things a shot.
One thing that we kind of didn't explore as much as we would have liked to, but, you know, largely because of GTA not working, you see a lot of those like paid mod packs and community members where you have to get paid access to their list of specific mods and stuff. How much research do we look into that, and do you think it's worth traveling down that rabbit hole?
We did actually go into buying a couple Patreon-based mod packs. A lot of them were just a list of mods that were readily available off Nexus Mods already, and a reshade preset.
Ah, it's the reshade preset that you're really paying for, hey?
There are a lot of tweaks and tunables that you can play around with in reshade, but they are all things that you can go and do a bit of research and kind of make your own preset as well.
So as much as, you know, these guys aren't necessarily scamming people or lying to anyone, and they're doing a service that someone can pay for, we encourage you to do your own research and just try modding yourself. You're not going to break your computer. You might break your game a little bit, but that's why you always back up your files first. Before we see Linus's reaction to all this stuff, let me just tell you a little bit more about this monitor, because there's a few things that we haven't mentioned yet. There's OLED Care Pro with a Neo proximity sensor that automatically detects when you step away, dimming or blacking out the screen to protect the panel. For settings, the Display Widget Center handles your firmware updates and lets you export and import configurations. There's also ROG Gaming AI, which has a whole suite of features like AI Visual and Dynamic Shadow Boost to pop the colors and details. Last but not least, this monitor has all the ports you could ever dream of with DisplayPort 2.1 UHBR20, HDMI 2.1, and USB-C with 90 watts of power delivery.
I'm back from vacation, and it's time to experience photorealistic Cyberpunk. Whoops. No amount of photorealistic mods will make you good at driving, unfortunately. It doesn't look that different to me. Am I missing something here?
I think you're not looking at the small details, like the shadows in the rubble, the ground texture, some of the wall textures. You're just like flying by it at like high speeds. Path
It
tracing.
looks blurry, I can't see.
Well, path tracing on all
Oh my God, look at these towers. They're like broken. They have like a weird halo around them. You see that? It looks like it's selected. That's my mission indicator. See, this is why I stopped modding games. Did I ever tell you about the time that I modded Oblivion? I applied so many damn mods to my Elder Scrolls 4 install that when I went to reformat my computer because I got a virus or something, and I went to load my game again, it couldn't because I had so many mods. And then that was in the days before like convenient mod workshops and stuff, so I couldn't even remember what all the mods were. So I lost like tens of hours of progress. And then I resolved to never mod anything again. No way! You guys put my car in the game? That's crazy. Okay, that's pretty cool. My car's faster. Actually, no, I think this does have like the acceleration of it. Who took the time to do all of this? This is crazy. This is like sitting in my car, even like the interface is there. It definitely feels like the showcase videos are very cherry-picked though.
They are.
All right, let's move on to Skyrim. How is this game this old? It has no right to look this good. Like there's areas where you can clearly see that, you know, this is not a modern texture.
It probably has been replaced though. A lot of the textures in the game have been replaced.
You know, I never played Skyrim, and if I was gonna play Skyrim today, I don't think I would have any choice but to do this to it because this looks just 2025 play ready. Like, this looks awesome. Okay, is all the God rays stuff modded?
The lighting was overhauled by a program called ENB, and it gives you a lot of tunables on what you can do with the lighting and a bunch of the post-processing.
Wow. And that, oh, that's an outstanding bokeh effect. Like, it doesn't look like, you know, crappy low resolution assets at a distance. It looks like a painting. What the hell? That is some last gen water if I've ever seen it. But
That's way better than the original water.
everything else about this though is incredible. Look at these trees.
There's
I
still some problems, like this floating tree right here.
No, whatever. Trees float, they float. Have you ever tried it? Put a tree in the water, it floats.
One of the mods that we put in here recompiled your level of detail distances, so you get much higher level of detail at further away.
So I'm not getting like a 3 polygon tree over here.
Exactly.
It's just rendering the full quality tree because, I mean, we've got the GPU horses for it. Look at that. If you told me this was a picture and you were like, bah, bah, you know, and you didn't let me look at it for too long, I'd be like, yeah, and? Why'd you take it away so fast? You know, like I wouldn't be, look at these rocks.
The rocks are really good.
They rock. Look at the sun off the top of the frickin' tree here. The way it's handling the HDR here too. It doesn't even have it baked into the engine. It has no right to be this good. Like you could see the highlights and then everything else is like black against the bright sky like it's supposed to be. That was incredible.
So
Okay,
Crisis
Enhanced
Enhanced
mod. Not to be confused with Crisis Remastered, which ended up being a bit of a flop. You know what? This is actually a pretty good looking dusk. This one, I feel like my nostalgia goggles are on a little bit though, because I remember the game looking this good, and I know it doesn't. All right, let's try vanilla. Yeah, I gotta say, this one just is not as transformative. Man, how does this game look so good still? And we just have it cranked, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to edit some config files to be able to get the right resolution because it didn't actually support the resolution we're running at.
Sure doesn't.
But beyond that, this is vanilla.
So I guess this is the part where we shout out ASUS for sending over this incredible monitor for us to experience these games on. If you want to learn more about the new RGB QD-OLED PG34W CDN, make sure you check it out at the link in the video description. And also, check out the incredible communities that contribute to keeping these old games not just playable, but enjoyable for new generations of gamers. And I mean, Skyrim, you really can't say that. The game is that old. If you guys like this video, why not check out the last time we enjoyed games at super high fidelity? Although it was More like just super high resolution, 8K. Honestly, not as impressive as improved lighting and improved assets, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like I have enough resolution these days. Might just be my eyes going. 40's coming for me.